This is a part of the wiring. This part here goes to the ignition coil unit. As you can see, it has some kind of insulator for radio protection, because this bike it was in the police force, and they were equipped with a radio station. This connector here goes to the relay regulator, voltage regulator. These two here are for the starting relay. This green and black wires go somewhere to the generator. For the moment I don't know where. These two I am sure are on the generator. I also know the location. This goes to the diode board, and this is the same wire, but it has some problem. I have to change all this wire here. It was overheated. Also here I have to change the insulator, but I will manage somehow to recover this part of the wiring. This plastic insulator has become very hard with the time and is difficult to cut. Okay, this was much easier. We have some dirt here inside. This is an insulator for the wire inside, which is already insulated, but also we have cracked wires here, and I think this wire I should change. I see some other problems here. I have to open all the wiring. I have made this small harness because the old one, it was ruined. So I have used new wires, new connectors, new silicone insulators. Also here it's looking just fine, and it will do the job. Also, this is the part of the harness, the wiring harness that it goes. This is for the voltage regulator relay. These two goes onto the generator. This is for ignition, for the points. This two connector is for the charging system, but I have to find which is the role for these two connectors, and also for this one. I have cleaned the harness. Now it is looking just fine. It was full of dust. Here I have modified this wire because it was a continuous wire for the ignition coil, and it was going inside, and it was very difficult to clean and repair this wiring harness if it was connected to the ignition box with the ignition coils. So I have made a modification here. Maybe some of you will not like it, but it is very practical because you just disconnect this wire and you can go out with the ignition box. Or if you want to remove this wiring harness, also you disconnect from here and you can work with the wiring harness. We see here the wiring for the generator. First we have these three wires which are connected here on the wires which goes out from the generator. These three wires are the coils of the stator generator. So these three wires goes through here, they are insulated. You go on the back of this plate here, and it goes out here in the back of the plate. And on the diode board we have these three connectors here. It doesn't matter which wire you connect in these three connectors. Also here, they all have the same function. Here, where is the blue wire, we have two connectors. They are the same, but only one needs a wire. This is the wire for D+. I will show you immediately what D+ means. On the voltage regulators on BMW, we have D minus here in center, DF also in left corner, and D plus in the right corner. This connector is for the voltage regulator. It is plugging in only one position, and this blue wire, which is D plus, it goes first to the starter relay, which make some connections in the wiring, and as we can see, it is doubled. Okay, the starter relay have a connector called D plus, and it is doubled with another blue wire, which it goes to the connector in the plug here for the voltage regulators. Also, here where we have D plus, we have another free connector. Here we go with the wire which it goes from the charging light in the headlight. One of the wires from the charging light, it goes here. That light which shows if the generator is charging, it is called also, if you look in the internet, it is called idiot light, because if you don't have the bulb, or the bulb is broken, all the system generator will not produce current. So we need a wire from the charging light to go here on this connector where we have D plus. This double wire, it is connected with a wire here on the diode board, and the second wire goes to the connector plug for the voltage regulator. And the plug you can put here only in one position. We have also two wires here, DF and D minus. These two wires, as you can see, one is brown and the other one, it is blue with black, goes directly to the plug of the voltage regulator. And we have the D minus, which is the brown wire, and the DF, which is the blue with black wire. But if you repair or modify the wiring, maybe you don't have these colors, and you just have to know that DF goes to DF in voltage regulator, D minus goes to D minus in the voltage regulator. You just have to follow the schematics. This is the starter relay for BMW R60/5. And I have a problem with this relay. A problem that I have read, it is common for this type, because they have a starting protection, which is made by two electronic components, the transistor, and this seems to be a resistor. This is the part number. Okay, this protection, it is working like this. After you start the engine, in order not to push this button by accident, this is the button for signal switch and also for starting the engine. So when you are riding the bike, you want to use this switch in order to make a signal, and by accident maybe you will push. If you push the button, it will give the command to this relay, and the starter will try to start again the engine, and this is not a good thing, because the small pinion from the starter will hit the flywheel, which is revving with 2000-3000 revs per minute, and they collide. And because of that, they have made this protection. Also, as a schematics, electric schematics, it works like this. Here 30, these two connectors are connected on the battery, which is permanent. 87 here, it is connected when you push the button, it is connected to plus here from the battery. 31B here, it is the wire which it goes to the starting button. 15, it is the plus which you have when you're engaging the switch. So we have plus here and minus here. This D plus, it is connected to this resistor. This resistor, it is working with this transistor, and here we have the wire for the coil. This is one end of the coil, and here we have the second end for the coil, this wire. If you put minus here on 31B and you connect directly here on the wire, the relay is working. I have tested already. So now I have to make a connection here, to put a jumper, because this transistor is faulty and is not giving the command to the coil. It was tested by a guy who knows electronics, and he confirmed the transistor it is faulty. The first type of this relay on BMW R60/5 did not have this protection. It was simple. When you push the button, it has to work. In order to check if the relay is good, and by that I mean the coil inside, it is good and working, you need to make a test, and it is simple. You need a battery and two wires connected to battery. We have the black wire as a minus, and we are connecting to 31B, which is the command from the button on the handlebar, and we have a plus. And I will connect directly here in order to avoid the protection made by the transistor and this resistor inside. And as you can see, it is working. If I make a connection here with a wire, a jumper, let's say, from here to here, we will avoid this protection, and the relay, it will work just fine, but you will not have this protection. Like I said before, I have read on internet, and you have in the description below, you have the links with plenty of infos for BMW airhead motorcycles. It is written there that the first type of these relays on BMW R60/5 did not have this electronic protection. So we will modify in order to make this relay to work without protection. And now we are testing again, but with the jumper soldered, and we put the minus, which is the command from the button on the handlebar, starter button, on the 31B, and here we have the ignition switch, which is plus current. And now I don't have to make the connection here to avoid the protection. I just put on the connector outside. In reality, this is permanent, and this is the minus. It is the command. When you put the ignition switch, you have plus here on 15 connector, and on the 31B you have the command with minus current. And now it will work. Okay, in order to assemble again, with the face toward us and D plus on the left. And now slowly we are bending the cover. If you want, you can buy a replacement, not original, but it will work. Okay, it is sealed enough. And now I can assemble the relay. And now I have made some connections. We have battery plus, also ground. We have the starter button. I have connected here, not finally, but in order to test. We push the ignition switch and we are hearing the starter relay working. I will show also how to connect the wire for the generator light, because it's very important. Like I said, on the starter relay we have this double connector, which is the same, and it is written underneath with D plus. D plus has here two wires. One, it goes in the back of the diode board, like I have shown before, and the other one, it goes to the voltage regulator. This D plus connector, it is a double one, it is the same, and the other connector, it is for the wire which it goes to the generator light. This bulb must be 2 watts, not bigger. I think it works also with 3 watt, but it is better to use the 2 watt bulb. Also, the other wire, it goes to a wire which it has a plus current from the ignition switch. So when you push the ignition switch, you will have plus on this wire. I have pressed the ignition switch and we have the generator light. When you remove the ignition switch, it goes off. Now this generator light, it is also called idiot light, because if you have a broken bulb, the generator will not produce current, will not charge. And always when you press the ignition switch, you have to check if this generator light it is on. If because if it is on, that means your system is most likely to work. Okay, I repeat, this is the wire with plus from the ignition switch. Only when you press the ignition switch it goes to the bulb. The other wire, it goes to the starter relay. In the connector here, D plus. These two are the wires. These two are the wires for D plus, and this is the wire from the generator light.